Alright, this video is about solving one-step equations, and this time we're going to focus on division. Our standard here is solving linear equations in one variable. So we're going to go over inverses again, and this is for multiplication and division. Inverse numbers are numbers that multiply or divide to equal 1. So examples here are 1/2 and 2, because 1/2 times 2 gives me 1. Another example, 1/10 and 10, because 1/10 times 10 is going to equal 1. So inverse numbers are important to us in solving equations because they allow us to move numbers from one side of an equation to the other. In terms of equations, equations have an equal sign, and it's like a balance. So our equal sign is in the middle of our balance, and so when I move numbers, if I'm moving something from one side of my balance to the other, I have to do those things at the same time to both sides so that everything remains in balance. So we must use inverses to keep our equations balanced. So in this problem, 5 is being multiplied times x, and so I know that I need to multiply by the inverse of this 5. So 1/5 is the number that would multiply times 5 to give me 1. And that allows me to isolate x by itself. And remember that to keep things in balance, like my scale, if I've multiplied by 1/5 on this side, then I need to multiply by 1/5 on this side. And so these numbers become 1. 1 times anything is itself. And 40 times 1/5 is the same thing as having 40 divided by 5. And that will give me 8. So let's look at a couple examples. Example 1, your parents let you bring 3 friends to a movie with you and tell you they will pay your way in. The total cost for admission was $30. How much was the price of admission for one person? So this situation can be represented by the following. There's 4 of you going, you and 3 friends make 4 people, times how much each ticket costs, and that's going to equal the total cost, which was $30. So in this case, because this is a multiplication problem, my inverse would be to divide by 4 or multiply by 1/4. And in this case, 4 divided by 4 I know is 1, and so those cancel, and it isolates my variable. And 30 divided by 4 is 7.5, and we always want to make sure that we label. And so we're talking about dollars for admission. Example 2. Sadly, your dog is starting to go blind. Each day you have to give it pills to slow down the process. Last week, which was 7 days, you gave it 21 pills. How many pills do you have to give your dog each day? So again, we have our number of days times the number of pills is going to equal the total pills that we gave. And since this is being multiplied, I know that I need to divide, which is my inverse operation, to get p by itself. So p in this case is the number of pills, and 21 divided by 7 is going to be 3 pills per day. So just a couple more examples here. It says solve the equation, show your work. So in terms of showing your work on your assignments, this is what I would like to see. You've got 8 times g equals negative 48. So now we have some negative numbers that we have to be mindful of. So again, to use the inverse of multiplication, I'm going to divide, and that again is going to isolate my variable. And whatever I do to one side, I have to keep my equation in balance, so I do it to the other side. So negative 48 divided by 8 is going to leave me with a negative 6, because a negative divided by a positive is a negative. And our last example here, solve the equation, show your work. So again, I've got multiplication. I know that I need to do the inverse of that, so I'm going to divide, keep everything in balance here. My negative 6's will cancel, because negative 6 divided by negative 6 is 1. And I've got negative 30 divided by negative 6, so a negative divided by a negative is going to give me positive 5.